That is within me. Peter. That's Elder Ewa. Please, let's sit
Father, we thank you once again for your presence. Father, we thank you for the life that you have given unto us. We thank you for your love, your mercies, and your grace upon our lives. Daddy, I thank you for the life of each and every individual here. Present ourselves unto you once again. That you continue to teach. You continue to teach us your word, that we may know and understand the concept of your love. I present every heart here into your hands, O God, and have your way in our lives. Let your word come and accompany the task for which you have sent you. We bless you in the name of our Lord Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen.
Looks like from Lagos. Looks like the Odetta is trying to step in. Okay. So today we're going to talk about love. Amen. Yes, we're going to talk about love, which I believe most of us have PhDs and master's degrees. Amen. Yes, so actually I'm not going to give the 101 golden rules and the 150 golden rules in having a successful relationship. Unfortunately, that is not going to be the case. Amen. We are going to study. Amen.
Amen.
Yes, so I have some few stuff that we're going to discuss. So it's all about love, as we saw it on the flyers. In fact, the people you saw on the flyers, that was not the mass wedding. Amen.
Amen.
Yes. That was not mass wedding. Someone asked me, hey, they're going to mass wedding. Oh, maybe in future, but not this Sunday. Amen. Yes, so it's all about love. Today I don't want to commit myself with careless. So God bless you that at least you are all in bed. Amen. Yes. I don't want to commit myself with careless. Some people will not understand. Yes, so TMC, please let's continue. I believe, when we talk about love, it's something that a lot of people have their own definitions and people have their own, understanding of the concept of love. The society has its own definition. Almost every culture, people define love in a particular way. In books, we are told certain things about what love is. As believers, we also need to understand the basis of love. So today we're going to do two things, I suppose. We'll be looking at how things are done in the world and how things should be done in our setting, that is, as children of God. So this guy has a lot of misconception about love. So you see there are a lot of questions asked there. He's been hearing of that word, and it looks like people are defining it in a different manner. So this guy has a lot of things in mind, which at the end of the day, I believe is going to get answers to some of these questions. So we are going to look at how the world portrays love, or how the world defines love to us. Yes, so an intense feeling of deep affection. Somebody saying deep affection. Yes, not shallow, deep. A deep romantic or sexual attachment to someone. Amen. Amen. People are looking so calm. I don't know why. Please smile, okay? And if you don't smile, be nervous. Amen. Yes, so that is the first definition. Now, I also came across this simple definition of love. Say love is a powerful and permanent neurological condition. And love is chemistry, and it's not something you can easily control. Love is chemistry, and you know chemistry, chemicals. Combine this with that one. But I now understand why some years ago people were writing letters. I love you 99.99999%. Just add 0.001. Please, I know some people receive such letters, but it looks like I'm the only person who knows it. Please. Some people wrote, in fact, notes. Amen. Yes, so now if we want to put these two definitions together, the first and the second one, there is something I want us to take note here. From the second one, it says it's not something you can necessarily control. The first one is saying that it's an intense feeling. In fact, a deep romantic or sexual attachment to someone. So if we now want to put the two definitions together, we can say that from the world's point of view, love is a deep romantic and sexual attachment to someone or something you cannot necessarily control. If we want to put the two together, that is moving the uncontrollable aspect here to the first one. It therefore means that love is that kind of intense feeling, okay, that you cannot control. So it means that if, I don't want to use names because this topic is quite dicey. So I will not use names. So I will be using A and B. So if Mr. A goes to tell Madam B that I love you, from the world point of view, it means that there is some, action potentials have been generated in the brain, travel through the spinal cord to the waist. And now, you cannot control it. So he goes to another person and tells the person, I love you. That is what the world is telling us. Wow. So far as he cannot control it, that means it's love. So the moment the young guy sees the young lady and it looks like their heart is now the AV node and the SE node are doing a lot of stuff. It looks, I love this person. So you can get one guy proposing to 10 ladies at a go. That is serial proposal. So just for a program, every lady, just like broadcasting method, applying fertilizer. Whoever accepts. Why? Because the world says that you cannot control it, so just release it. That is what the world is telling us. So you see, these two people, I don't know which of them is the boy and which of them is the girl. They are doing their own things, and they call it love. Please, let's continue. But we are going to consider the biblical point of the word love. So from 1 John chapter 4, verse 7 and 8. This is from NKJV. Okay. Love. Let us love one another. For love is of God. And everyone who loves is born of God and knows God. 8. He who does not love does not know God, for God is love. So here we see that from the biblical point of view, love is actually a person, which is contrary to what the world is telling us. The word says it's something you feel in your body that you cannot control. But the Bible is telling us that love is a person, and that person is God. So right from the go, we see that these two, the world and the scripture, they are running on two different frequencies. So love is not one of the virtues of Christianity. In fact, real love is real Christianity, and real Christianity is love. So what it means is, in the absence of the word love, there is not going to be anything like Christianity. And in the absence of the word love, in the nature of God, there's no one on earth, or there's no one existing called God. Please do get my point. God is love. So it means if there's nothing like love, then there's no God. Because love is a person, he is God. So if the world is saying that it's feelings, and here we are also talking about a personality, then we need to get a distinction. Please, let's continue. So we want to now consider, today we are talking about the blind side of relationship, okay? I started from somewhere. I'm building a point and we will get there. We want to understand the basis of marriage. That is the point I'm building. We are going to establish the basis of marriage. Then we will look briefly at the concept of divorce. And then we will now come down to where I believe most of us will be interested. In fact, you have to be interested in everything here. In the house of God, there's nothing like specialization. Amen.
Amen.
So that word, in the beginning. I know some people will be pronouncing it some way, but in that word. And the Lord God said, it is not good that man should be alone. Somebody said, it is not good. In fact, it's not good that man should be alone. This one is from God, though, it's not from me. I can see some men of God are laughing. People are interested in that word. I'll make him a helper comparable to him. So this is what God is saying. In the Garden of Eden, he created Adam and gave Adam the entire garden and the earth to take dominion. And this time God is saying that it is not good that this man I have created be alone. Let me continue. And people want me to laugh, but I refuse to laugh. God formed every beast of the field and every bird of the air and brought them to Adam to see what he would call them. And whatever Adam called each living creature, that was its name. So, whatever God formed with the animals, birds, goats, cattle, pig, and all the other animals, God will create the animals, present these animals to Adam, for Adam to assess the animals and then name them. So, right from there, Adam was exercising dominion. Whatever name Adam gave to these animals, that was it. God could have named the animals and then present the animals to Adam. Now, Adam, this is good, and from now onwards, continue calling this animal good. But God will only do the creation, present it to Adam, and from there, Adam will take over with the naming and then with the maintenance aspect. Now, so Adam gave names to all cattle, birds of the air, every beast of the field. But you see, it's been bolded. But for Adam, there was not found a helper comparable to him. 21. And the Lord God caused a deep sleep to fall on Adam, and he slept. And he took one of his ribs and closed up the flesh in its place. Then the rib which the Lord God had taken from man, he made into woman, and he brought her to the man. Take note. And the Lord God brought the woman to the man. Yeah, we are going to explain. So relax. 23. And Adam said, somebody say, and Adam said. And Adam said.
And Adam said.
This is now bone of my bones. Somebody say, bone of my bones.
Bone of my bone.
And flesh of my flesh.
And flesh of my flesh.
She shall be called woman because she was taken out of man. So 24. Therefore, a man shall leave his father and mother and be joined to his wife, and they shall become one flesh. Now, let's take note of this. The same way God will create animals and present these animals to Adam to name, it was the same way God brought Eve to Adam. The same way God did not impose animals on Adam. That Adam, this animal, whether you like it or yes, it's called chimpanzee. It's the same way God brought Eve to Adam. This time, Adam did not only do the naming. As soon as Adam saw the woman, I don't know actually what he saw. Whether he first saw her face or the front blood or back blood. I don't really know what he saw. Adam was not in control. He just opened his eyes. Wow, now this is the bone of my bones, the flesh of my. Meaning that at that moment, Adam did not need anyone to tell him that this is the one you have been waiting for. Let's not forget from 20. But for Adam, there was not found a helper comparable to him. There was not found. There was not found. Which possibly could be that Adam might have made certain moves to be able to actually get his companion. Because without searching, they cannot be finding. Or the animals Adam received, upon assessment, realized that these animals are not like me. There's nothing I have in common with these animals. So, even though Adam did not discuss with God that I need a helper, God in his own wisdom knew that he would have to get Adam a helper. And God brought Eve to Adam. God did not impose the woman on the man. God brought Eve to Adam. Adam gave these romantic words, meaning that Adam made a choice. He was solely responsible for the outcome of his decisions. So right from the Garden of Eden, we see that the man, woman coming together is on the basis of how comparable the two are supposed to be. Let's move to the next slide. This slide I'm talking to. Yes. So I want us to take note of certain things that will be very relevant from that particular scripture that we read. Certain things that will be relevant to our discussion. One, Adam had a fellowship or relationship with God. Before Eve came, Adam knew God. So Adam did not meet Eve outside God. The same way you don't have to go and meet your better for worse outside and bring him to God. I know we get there. People's faces are in some way. 2. Adam was working before meeting Eve. From Genesis 2:15, we see God telling Adam to tend. On other versions, we use tilt, to maintain. So Adam had an assignment. There was something Adam was doing before meeting Eve. Yes, I'm talking about marriage. So you cannot be idle and say that I'm going to marry. From the scripture we read, it said, Eve was brought by God to Adam when Adam was working. You'll get there. Now, Adam's state of singleness was on the basis of that word, incomparability or incompatibility. Remember, I did say that Adam was single not because he didn't have enough words. As some people will say that people have POP. There's some guys have POP. You know POP? Don't worry. And guys, they have padlocks. They cannot talk. That's what some people will say. Yeah. It wasn't because Adam was POP, but the issue was that he had not met the one that would be compatible or comparable to him. That's why Adam was single. Now, the next one, God created and presented Eve to Adam. I have explained that. So Adam made a choice. Let's not forget that. Adam made a choice. So Adam exercised his freedom of choice. That is by choosing Eve. God brought the woman to Adam. And right from there, Adam said, yes, now this is the bone of my bone, flesh of my flesh. She shall be called woman because she was brought out of what? Man. So, the bottom line here is, whatever this woman was going to bring in the life of Adam, Adam was solely responsible. Why? Because he chose. I believe if Adam had not chosen Eve, God would have still had a means or ways of maybe getting Adam a different person. Or maybe going to apply some simple makeup with the Eve and upon presenting the woman for the second time. I believe even if Adam had refused at one point in time, Adam was going to what? Accept. Or Adam was going to choose. So one point I want to build from here is, whatever choices we make in life, whatever decision that we make in life, we must be responsible for whatever outcome that our choices will make. This same woman Adam was praising, when this woman fed him with the fruit, and now punishment was coming, Adam now shifted the blame to God. Me, I was alone. There was no sin found in me. The woman that you gave me. Meanwhile, Adam forgot that he was this same person praising this woman. So one sign or one trait of a mature person is people who will not be playing the blame game. They are not responsible. They always attribute, issues to people. They always assign, reasons to why certain things happen. Decisions that they have made, they still find excuses and want to shift the blame to people. Whatever decision that we make in life, you are solely responsible. That is why you don't need to be influenced negatively to make a decision. But whether the outcome of the decision is going to be good or wrong, it comes back to you as an individual. Amen. Amen. Please, let's continue. So, there's a nice quote here. It says, always remember that the most important thing in a good marriage is not happiness, but stability, peace. We studied this last year. When you are stable in the Lord, you are at peace. So money is not everything. If you think you are going to marry the richest man in the world, and that is what is going to make you happy, I'm sorry. Money does not mean stability. Yeah, the guys are smiling. The ladies are not smiling. Why? There are some guys who also say, oh, me, if you are a lady, you don't have money, forget it. Money is not everything. Money is not. Please, let's continue. So now we are going to, I'm just picking a case study. Okay? Now we are coming down. Looking at marriage. Okay? So now we are looking at Aunt Mary and Aunt Joseph. Amen. Amen. We have always been reading from, Matthew chapter 1, verse 18. This particular story. I took this story for a reason, because we are going to talk about dating somewhere. And we're going to see where dating worship falls here. Now, we see in Matthew chapter 1, verse 18. And now, the birth of Jesus Christ was as follows. After his mother Mary was betrothed to Joseph, before they came together, she was found with a child of the Holy Spirit. So, betrothal, and then they came together. These are the two things I'm going to look at from here, and then we proceed quickly. So now in a Jewish setting, okay, for two people to be completely married, there were about 3 stages that these people will go through before finally they will be recognized as married people. The first one is that these two, the families of these people will have to agree to a union. It's for a reason this part is coming in. So, in those days, there were, arranged marriages were quite common. Once a boy is born, and you see a girl is also born in a different family, the parents can go and then start the initiation from there. Oh, I have a son, or I have a grandson who is 2 days old. Yes, so I think once you are pregnant, if you give birth and your child is a girl, even there they start the negotiation. So even once the baby is in the womb, the baby either has a wife or a husband. So this boy or girl will be born, and these two families are aware that this small boy is going to marry that small girl somewhere one day. You will not know. And in those days, it is your father who will determine when you are supposed to marry. Your father will look at your muscles, look at your waist, and say, yes, this guy, I think, is ready for action. Amen. So, first, these two, the families of these people will have to agree. Secondly, there is a public announcement or declaration. This is happening in our time. during weddings, even in the law court. If you want to register your marriage at the law court, I don't know in other countries, but in Ghana, I don't know if I don't know if it's the same everywhere, but in Ghana, the court will publish your names on specific notice boards, I think for about 21 days, that brother so and so, sister so and so want to marry. If anyone has issues as to why they cannot marry, come to the law court, not later than this day. The judge will put a stamp there. But that is all. And also in the church, it's also done. So, after a period of time, now the final marriage ceremony will come off, and then right from there, these people will now start living together. Now, with the first and the second stage, these people are not supposed to live together. Why? Because they are not married. They are in the process of marrying, but they are not married. So you see, this was the situation Mary and Joseph found themselves in. Possibly they were in the second stage of their relationship. So they were not living together. And at this stage, if there needs to be any breakup, the two families will have to be involved because it started from there. And from the law, once one of them becomes unfaithful, the other party should be stoned to death. So, if you continue the story, you realize that Joseph, when he realized that Mary was pregnant, he didn't want Mary to go through the public, stigmatization and all those things. So he wanted to do it quietly. So please, let's take note. Sex. Number one, number two. Male. So you now realize that even though Joseph and Mary were known in the community, in the society, that this guy and that guy are going to marry, they were not doing the thing. Somebody say doing the thing. Yeah, they were not doing it. Please, let's continue. So, what we are going to do now is, I'm building a point. Most of us, I believe, if not, I know all of us, in one way or the other, might have attended weddings before. And most of us do not take interest in the things that go on the altar. Most of us are normally interested in the photography, the pictures, and now you may. Yes. I want us to take note of what what the bride and the groom actually say at the altar before they are pronounced husband and wife. From there, we will get back to the scriptures. We will look at why some of these things are done, and then we will relate it to the concept of divorce. Briefly, it's for a reason this part is coming in, because most of us are not aware. And what I want to do from here is, I want us to understand how God sees marriage and how God detests divorce. So before you make that decision that I'm now going to marry, or this guy is the person I'm going to marry, you need to understand what you are going to put yourself into, what it means to marry. Because marriage is a journey of no return. That's one thing I want you to understand. So if there needs to be any form of seriousness and carefulness, it is here. So, yes, I do. Yes, I will. Now, Okay, so let me do some illustration. Please come. Yeah. Yeah, please come. Yes. Yes, so normally, before this stage, what will happen is the man of God who is officiating the marriage will ask of the father of the bride. Yes, so okay, so you are going to be the lady's father. And he is going to be a hypothetical groom. Amen. So the man of God will now call on the father of the bride. And then what the father will do is the father will hold his daughter's right hand and then hand it over to the groom's right hand. What it means is that wholeheartedly the father is giving out her daughter to another man. You understand? Yes, so now hold her by the right hand. So you also accept or receive the little with your right hand. Yes, so now hand her over to you. Good. So now that he has accepted the lady, or now that he has received the lady this way, this is what goes on there. The minister will read. So I will read it to you. Okay. Now the minister will read. Will you have this woman? CD is a critical name. Standing here to be your wedded wife, to live together after God's ordinance in the estate of matrimony. Will you love her, comfort her, honor, and keep her in sickness and health, and forsaking all other, keep only her as long as you both shall live? If so, say yes I do. Others will put yes there or I do. Now the man will normally don't say it. Normally the man will respond by saying yes I do. Please let's take note. This is a vow that you are going to live together. You are going to keep her. You are forsaking all other women. Keep her only. Please, the next line. Now, the woman will also say same. The next one is this time you are going to. It is the man who normally say this. That I call upon these persons here present to witness that. So all those of you who will go for the wedding, what the man is saying is that you are his witness. I call upon these persons here present to witness that I, so and so, do take you, mention the lady's name, to be my lawful wedded wife, to have and to hold from this day forward, for better, for worse, for richer, for poorer, in sickness and health, to love and to cherish, till death do us apart, according to God's holy ordinance. And now, therefore, I give you this token of my love. And this is where there's exchange of rings. Please, let's take note of the vows people make on the altar. They're very serious. With the vows made on, please, you can say that. Okay. With the vows people make on the altar, there's no aspect of divorce. Take note on that. So literally, it means that if you are entering into marriage, what it means is there is no divorce is not an option, no matter what the case may be, because you have vowed that you are going to be together with him or her. You are forsaking all others. So how can you cheat? in the presence of God, and you call all the children of God to be your witness. And yet you see people doing other things outside marriage. May God have mercy. Please let's continue. So now you see, this picture is very simple. We have number 1, 2, 3, and 4. Number 4 wants to, I don't know whether you see he or she. We are all sitting on the same branch. Whether he or she is fed up, want to cut himself or herself out of this person's life. Frustration. This guy is also cutting this guy out. So that's how divorce is. Some people will want to leave. Others will want to create conditions so that others will leave. Please, let's continue. I want to rush through it. So, Jesus Christ said something here in Matthew chapter 19, verse 9. And I say to you, whoever divorces his wife, except for, this is the scripture that most people will use. So, a woman wants to seek divorce. She will create all conditions necessary for the man to cheat so that he will say, yes, now this is the scripture. So go.
Yes, dangerous mindset.
And I say to you, whoever divorces his wife except for sexual immorality and marries another commits adultery. And whoever marries her who is divorced commits adultery. Here, he says whoever divorces his wife. So in actual sense, from this part, women are not supposed to seek divorce. Amen. Did Jesus say whoever divorces his husband or her husband? No. Whoever divorces his wife. Why? Marriage, as we see as an institution, depicts our relationship with the Lord. So just as Eve came from the side of Adam, so we all came from the side of Christ. So it means that it is actually the source who can terminate you. That is why Christ cannot deny us. Why? Because we are coming from him. So the same way that woman also came from the man, if ideally men will really understand this point, under no circumstance must we seek divorce. Jesus Christ was not giving credible reasons for divorce. What he was, with this particular scripture, I read some days ago, we were talking a lot about it. Okay? Now, it goes back to our relationship with the Lord. Christ is the groom, the church is the bride. So, because we are coming from him, that's why upon all the things sometimes we do, he still loves us. And the same love that Christ is saying, that we should also show or to live here on earth. I don't want to talk much about it because I have a lot to talk about dating. Now we are reading from 1 Corinthians 7, 10, 11, 39. I know people might have questions. Please, if you have questions, you can pick pieces of paper from the photograph department. You can write it down, or when the time is up, microphones will be made available so that you answer questions. So, Paul the Apostle is saying that now to the married I command, yet not I, but the Lord. A wife is not to depart from her husband. Please take note of this. A wife is not supposed to depart from her husband.
Never.
But even if she does depart, let her remain unmarried.
Yeah.
Or be reconciled to her husband. And her husband is not to divorce his wife. So, this is 39. A wife is bound by law as long as her husband lives. But if her husband dies, she's at liberty to be married to whom she wishes. Only in the Lord. So, Under no circumstance should a child of God have that mentality that, oh, I think this guy, though he's an unbeliever, but maybe when I marry him, that alone will pull him to Christ. People have died out of that. People did that and they are dead. Please, let's continue. So this guy has an issue in his marriage. Instead of fixing it, he's turning his back to the lady. I know the men here, you will not do this one day. Many people say that we are not romantic. Some of us. They said most of the Christian men, they are not. They are always praying. They are always praying. Amen. Please let's continue. Yes, so here in Malachi chapter 2, verse 15 and 16, we see God stating categorically that he detests or he hates divorce. Because of time, we might not be reading everything. So, didn't the Lord make you one with your wife in body and spirit? You are his. And what does he want? Godly children from your union. So God expects us to, God expects married couples to have godly children. Amen.
Amen.
So, please let's move on to them. Okay, so guard your heart. Remain loyal to your wife of your youth. Unfortunately, most men are guilty here. Because now the front glory and the back glory are someone said something. Because gravity is not acting on them now. So most people are enticed. Most people are attracted to ladies because of their physical appearance. But when the day comes that they cannot withstand gravity, I heard that word during Carol's week. Yes, those of you who did not come, you will not understand. When gravity starts falling on the muscles and the front glory and the back glory, most men will now be casting their eyes round like castrated donkeys. Children of God cannot do that. Amen. Children of God cannot do that. Why? Remain loyal to the wife of your youth. What is binding or what is bringing you so, attached to that lady now? She'll be able to, if ideally it's the love we are talking about, she'll be able to carry you through. Amen. For I hate divorce, says the Lord, the God of Israel. To divorce your wife is to overwhelm her with cruelty. This same person you are supposed to protect, you are killing her. This should not be said in the house of God. Seriously. There are people we see outside to be enjoying marriage, but I tell you, some marriages break up after 2 weeks of marriage. Some of them cry 2 days. There are some of them 3 hours after the honeymoon, the marriage will break. 3 seconds, the marriage will break. Because of some unnecessary lies and trust issues and all these things. Please, let's continue. So, dating, caution. Here, I'm not going to spend a lot of time here. You see, I believe this is a girl and this is a boy. I don't know why exactly they are doing that. The girl have to raise one of them. And they are standing, it looks like it's at night. They are standing under one tree. And they are kissing. Look, the atmosphere is charged with love everywhere. Look. So, you see, please let's continue. So back to the issue of the Jewish marriage. You see that the first step there is that the families are involved. But it appears that in our time, the definition of our dating comes before the first step in the Jewish custom. This time we don't want the families to, do the negotiation. We want to do it ourselves and now present our findings to our families. So I realized that the word dating and courtship, as dating and courtship, you are not going to find it in scriptures. So you will not find it anywhere that Abraham dated Sarah. Or Joseph was courting Mary. So the dating here, I found an interesting definition that it's a state of relationship whereby two people. I kept proposing sex there because we are not talking about homosexuality. Yeah. Because we know that when God hates that one. Firstly, people meet socially with the aim of assessing each other's suitability as a prospective partner in an intimate relationship or marriage. So, it appears that the definition of identity is that we want to see whether we are compatible or comparable as Adam was with Eve. And then, if we are able to draw that conclusion, we proceed with the family and the family will take it over from there. Right. It appears that that is the picture. And if that is the case, it means that from the initial stage, families are not involved. So it means our dating precedes the first step in the Jewish custom. There are 3 steps. So, how many of you here have ever proposed to a lady and you have to discuss with your father before? That people, I've seen a lady on campus, so I want to propose to you. Some of you are dating here. Even you are telling the day that your father will be here. You chop money for that particular month in your account. Meanwhile, you have dated for more than 1 year. God have mercy. So, normally friendship precedes dating. Why? Because you can't date every lady. You can't also date every man. Serial dating, in fact, is last. Proposing to 5 ladies at a go, that maybe one of them will accept. In fact, it's not advisable. It's evil. It's a sin. What if they all accept? There are some men who have that mentality. Let me propose to 10. I want to marry in 2020. So let me propose to 10 ladies now. Even if 5 of them accept, by the time we get to June, at least one will drop. By the time we get to August, at least one of them, I will know the person is this. And so by the time I get to December, I will now get my last 2. By June, I will get my first one, March. Fire. Please. That one is fornication. It's last. Amen. So, yes, this point, let me explain and we go. This one I know we know. Because I've been hearing you know. So, in our context or in our setting, we can only say people are dating when one of them, normally, I kept normally here because sometimes it's the reverse. When normally one of them proposes and the other accepts. So you can have, 10 friends, but the fact that you have not proposed to anyone, and the fact that even if you have proposed, you have not received the green light, does not mean you are dating. But unfortunately, some men, when they are in the midst of their friends, they'll telling them, oh, Charlie, me, I'm dating this girl. Why? Because they want them to feel they're also gay. Please, that's not right. So courtship sets in when dating relationship progresses to the first and second stages. Yes, so it means that when we say people are courting, one, their families are involved. And they are heading towards the final destination, which is marriage. So normally, people who are courting will have their families involved, will have the church involved, will have the society involved. The society knows these people are heading towards marriage. So when we see them, they are preparing towards marriage. And in this stage, please, they don't do their thing. Let's continue. So, as I said, I'm not here to give 1,001 rules. But, first of all, before you entered into that relationship, or before you enter into that relationship, first of all, know your identity as a child of God. And that relationship should not change your identity. So, whatever you do in that relationship, let's go to 1 Corinthians 10:31. That whether you eat or drink or whatever you do all to the glory of God. So all the 1,001 golden rules and everything, the do's and the don'ts, are found in this scripture. I'm not here to tell you do this or do that, don't do this, do this, do that. As a child of God, you know what is good, you know what is wrong. When you are sinning, you know. So whatever you are doing or whatever you are going to do, if it's not glorifying God, then you need to take a break. Dating someone does not mean does not mean you are married. So if there is any time to quit, it is during that time. You don't wait till you go to the altar and now decide, I think I've had enough. Once you get there, it's a journey of no return. Please understand. Please, let's continue. So you see this guy, this lady is running away. Somebody married me or someone married me. I don't know why the person is running away, but it looks like she's not happy at where she is. And she's fleeing. Next one, let's go. So we are going to consider some few things in dating that we need to pay particular attention to. Because certain things cause marriages to break because people did not do certain things they were supposed to do during the friendship and during the dating stage. People skip certain things because they think, oh, this thing when we marry, it will change. This thing when we marry, oh, because I've not gotten there. So when we marry, when we get to, yes, when we get there, we cross. That's what normal people will say. Please, let's continue. So, you cannot know the identity of someone, the intentions of someone. The Bible says that no one knows what is in a man's heart or what is within him except his own spirit. So that guy who is always telling you, giving you those, giving you the words, those ones. What if he's lying? Or what if the way you see him is not actually how he is? There are some people who assume false identity because they want to impress a lady. We call them Joe Impress. So they will do everything possible for you to know that yes, they are also there. Please, I'm not talking about it. So please, as a child of God, you can't do anything without prayer. And you, the guy, going to also present your proposal. What if the person you are going to will not be the right person for you? See, you don't pray that God, I'm praying that as I'm going, my proposal will be accepted. That's not what I'm saying. You want to identify that person. You want to discern. So you can't do that without prayer. So discernment is there. Maturity level. So here, there are a lot of things to talk about when we talk about maturity. It's not necessarily about age. What is the person's view of his identity as a child of God? This person that we're talking about, how does the person control, or how does the person act? What are his actions, and how does he do control his temper? You see the type when he's angry, he will give you all the shit words, and later on he will come back and even forget of the thing that he said. And actually, most of these things you are able to, or you will be able to know them when at least you've been a friend to the person for some time. So a child of God should not believe in the love at first sight story that the world tells us. Yeah. You go for one day dinner, the guy comes there for once, he said about you, and you say, oh, you are also laughing. So know your identity, know your value. If you know who you are, you know what you want. If you really know who you are, you will know what you want. People base, unfortunately, when we get to the last session, which I'm going to be brief, people consider a lot of things that are actually irrelevant. Some men will tell me, no matter who you are, if you are not fair, forget. So the man has met a dark lady. In fact, all indicators point to the fact that this person is the right person for you because of that mentality. Oh, me, if you are not like that, if you are not like this one, please. Good looks fade, beauty fades. Of course, beauty, something physically will attract you to the person, but that should not be your only means of, building your relationship. Background. This is actually not supposed to be an issue, but unfortunately, it is an issue in some societies. Some marriages break up because of this. People waste their time in marriages or in relationships because of this. They might have dated for 4 years, 5 years. Now the guy goes home and presents the lady to the family, and they tell you, you are coming from tribe A. So there's no way we are accepting someone from tribe B. Meanwhile, you spend 5 years in a relationship with this person. So the best way forward is, as you are about to start, there are some families, as you are young, they will tell you, Kofi or Kwabra. For us, don't bring a lady from this Bible. Please pray for them. Prayers can work. In fact, prayers work. But sometimes their hearts are so hardened that the only option is go in with your wife and also settle as a family. If you want to proceed, then that is the end of you. So before you spend years in a relationship, please have a way of finding out from your family, so that you wouldn't waste your time in a relationship, and at the end of the day, it's going to be a lot of frustration. As I said, in the house of God, this shouldn't actually be an issue. Because whether a Jew or a Gentile, we are all coming from Christ. But unfortunately, some families have not come to this point of understanding. So it is something that you also need to consider. Maybe you are from Ghana and the lady is from Rwanda. Yes, there is still a way to find out so that you wouldn't have to waste your time or spend a lot of energy, resources in relationship, and at the end of the day, it turns out to be something else. And normally with the communication, it's a lot. During the dating stage, that is where you actually have to discuss issues in life. If your mentality in entering into a relationship or in dating is not geared towards marriage, please, then you have to reset your focus. Because it's not for fun. Emotions are not for fun. So if it's your mentality that, one day, if at the end of the day, we are good to go, the question is, so do you want to have? Me, at least 8. I want 6 strong boys, 2 girls, and the last one, even if it's twins, it's okay. And you, the lady, you don't want to go beyond 3. And it looks like the man is not joking, he's serious. If you joke, he will let you give birth to 8 strong boys. This is the time you have to sort these things out. You don't need to wait till you get there and, maybe when we marry, you will change his mind. You marry, and he will rape you and you will. Amen. Because you are not trying to, Amen. Amen. Or how you are going to manage finances. Some people will tell me, take your money, take your salary, take my salary. Whatever you do with it, I don't care. I also do with mine. That one is none of your business. It is this time that you have to trash all these issues. So by the time you now get to the altar, all these things have been discussed. Unfortunately, people pretend during this stage. Someone will tell me, I'm this, I'm that, and now the person will always be lying to defend a false identity. This is the time you also have to discuss issues pertaining to life, concerning your vision and purpose. Some people will tell me, one day I want to enter or I want to go into ministry. And you have vowed that I don't want to be also for my or as of I don't want to be a pastor's wife. And this man is saying, I know I have the calling upon my life to be an apostle. Walk in the footsteps of Paul. Please, you don't have to get there before you now decide whether you are preaching or not. So these things, many people are struggling in marriages because some of these things seem to be irrelevant. But I tell you, it's breaking up marriages. The man is going into ministry, the woman said, then go. Or the man is telling you, let's have a joint account. He said, me. Never.
A few years before divorce.
Or, what if we marry? And for 5 years, for 6 years, we've not been blessed with the fruit of the womb. How are we going to manage the situation? How are we going to manage the pressure from the family, from society? This is the time we need to, talk. So we communicate. So please, there are a lot of things to deal with in relationship, in dating period. It's a time you are going, it's a whole MBBS program on its own. 6 years. 6 years, right. So that is the time you need to really know the person very well. There are some people you can be friends with for 1 year. You never see them angry. But just one day. So, please, let's do the relevant things at the right time. There are times that people will marry, and after 2 weeks, the man will tell the woman, Are you the woman I met or have been with all this while? Because there are things that he has never known about this lady. Amen.
Amen.
So that is where the comparability comes in. The woman came in, I'm talking about Eve, to be a comparable helper to Adam, to help Adam perceive something. So a woman will become a nuisance in the life of a man if the man does not have a purpose or vision. Because the woman will be there and will be causing problem and trouble too. And sometimes, the medical related issues, we are medical doctors, the sickle cell and those things. It's very relevant. It's relevant from the onset, so that if you need to advise yourself with the wisdom that God has given us, you advise yourself. Amen. Yeah, so please let's go. Next one. Quickly. So we are looking at certain things people waste so much time on. Meanwhile, they are not relevant. Beauty, complexion, I've spoken about it. Me, if you are not that, forget. I will not marry you. So the lady will go and get the dark makeup. When you are meeting the lady, she is that. When she goes home, she will remove the makeup, hand it somebody, and now she's ready. Amen. Amen. So please, beauty. Of course, I did say that, something will attract you understand? But that is not permanent. It's going to fade. Maybe the guy is German now, so you look at him, oh, this guy has come. My boss has come. One day he stops German. Obviously, he's going to change in form. This guy is thinking, you're not going for love or money. Oh, me, so far as you cannot get me iPhone, this and that, forget. For money, it's not a big. People focus on money. So guys can borrow and impress ladies. And now when they marry, the real situation is there. People will borrow huge sums of money for weddings. For weddings. And at the end of the wedding, there's an issue. Some, people do this. For instance, someone is planning a wedding and is, I think even if I should go in for a loan of 100,000 MMB, it's working. But at least the bill will come. And the bill will not come and give less than 20,000. Tracy is coming. Tracy will not give less than 10,000. Oh, Loveless. So he will just do the calculation. Even 10 people can pay the 100,000. He will go in for the loan. At the end of the day, they'll bring in citations. They'll bring in teacups, chamber pots, and all these things. That very night, the marriage has started breaking up. Because the man is frustrated. The man, right from that night, the man is frustrated. No, some of these things I'm talking about, they are not personal experience, but I have really seen it happen.
2007.
These things, I have seen them happening. People hide their wedding based on friends. Oh, I attended Elisha's wedding. It was like this. So how can I have a substandard wedding? Please, talk to him, man. He has a man of God. He can help with an amount of 2,000 or maybe you can have a wedding. Yeah. Let's have 2,000. Talk to him. He's an alien. Amen. Amen. So please, wedding is just a one day. In fact, some few hours event. Pre-wedding photo shoot, 5,000 Ghana cedis. 5,000 Ghana cedis is like 7,000 RMB. Pre-wedding photo shoot. Because she had pre-wedding photo shoot and pre-wedding photo something. Please. Fun. Oh, I think we are on campus. Everyone is dating, so Charlie look sharp. Sharp. Yes. So see, people see it as a fun. And how can I be in second year and it's too low? No. So first year, second year, third year, fourth, so four, fifth year, 5. Some people is even 5'7", 5'8", 5'10". May God have mercy. Let's continue. Sex. People go into relationship with that mentality. Oh, me, I want a man who is like this and like that. A woman who is like this. Oh, I be everyone is having sex there is normal. So people go in there with that mentality. Children of God, we are being admonished, as Apostle Paul said in Romans chapter 12, verse 1 and 2, that this should God be transformed by the renewing of our mind. We should be transformed. So if unbelievers are thinking this way, this should not be our focus. Unfortunately, these things break marriages. You will not, my God. Some days ago, something, we were discussing something. After Bible studies completed, we were discussing something on this song, you understand? And sometimes it's so funny how a marriage will break up on that same night, after wedding, Saturday evening. Before Sunday dawn, the marriage has actually broken down. Why? Because of lies. So the guy told the lady, oh, me, I've been in the mission house all this while. Me, I don't know anything about ladies. The lady goes, yes, I've also been in the cathedral all this while. Always angels are descending and descending me. I don't know any man. So the man said, oh, fine. So the man expects something. Now on the night, not the night Jesus Christ was betrayed. On the night of the honeymoon, the man realized that so if angels are always descending and ascending, the rock that, the Bible says that when Jesus Christ was kept in the tomb, there was a rock that was sealing the opening to the tomb. Amen. So if angels are ascending and descending in the cathedral, obviously that rock should be there. Please, are you following? Now, on that night, Jesus was already resurrected, the stone was not there. He said, when did Jesus resurrect? And the stone, at least I should find some traces somewhere, at least the stone has been pushed to one side. Please, I'm serious.
So what you are looking for?
And the next Sunday morning, this man came to the vision house. Papa, the marriage you blessed yesterday. I'm sorry. Man of God, why? The stone is not there. Because of the resurrected Christ and the stone is not there, you are, please, these things are not so relevant. The Bible says that if you are in Christ, you are a new creation, the old is gone, the new has come. So, how do you understand? Yes. Please, I hope you all understand what I'm saying. Yes. So please. Let's continue. Yes, so emotions. Okay? Some people the way they feel. Or if it's winter, they are happy, you can't sleep anymore. So you need to get, so during Valentine and Christmas, people are so much into, trying to reconnect their old friends and all these things. Emotions, because the word says that, please, are there questions? If there are questions, let me have the question. Yes, so some people also think, I'm lonely. It looks like everyone is doing it, I'm dead. It's Valentine, people are going out, me and in the room, so at least let me also get someone. And marriages break because of this mentality. If you think you are lonely, you can have two people on bed and still you are lonely. Amen. Let's continue. Pressure from peers, family, and society. Sometimes the family will tell you, you are 22 years old, you have never spoken of any man. Wow. Or some friends will also, you are polo. Everyone is doing it. Sometimes we also think our classmates are getting married, they are dating, they are doing this, and our classmates are doing it, so we also have to do it. No. Please, let's continue. There are some people who will tell, oh, me, I'm dating online. Online dating, you don't know that. You saw a person's picture on Facebook or Instagram. Maybe that person is dead and gone, and he has kept the picture there. Once you saw the picture, you are now. Meanwhile, that lady's picture that lady is dead. Just that this friend is sympathizing or empathizing with a dead person. So you kept the picture there. You saw this picture, you thought it was a person. We are, please, children of God, we online dating, sir. And there are times people will now arrange me, they meet them and say, no, this one I can't. I've spoken of in person trying to, yes, this one is very dangerous. Some people think that, oh, this guy, I think if I accept, he will come to church, he will come to Christ. They will accept, and before they realize, the person has rather pulled them down. I have a couple of questions here, so I want to rush. I've gone past my time. Yes, so the next point. Yes, I think, a few things to, so let's go. So, in conclusion, there's no need to rush into relationship. Take your time to truly get to know the person and establish a foundation of friendship, honesty, and love in the Lord. 1 Corinthians 15:33-34. Do not be misled. Bad company corrupts good character. Come back to your senses as you ought and stop sinning, for there are some who are ignorant of. So, please, if you are in a relationship and you are dying, you yourself, you know spiritually you are dying. In fact, you want to rescue yourself, but the very thing that you always promise of not doing, you are doing it. Come back to your senses. I earlier on said that don't forget that you were a child of God before you into the relationship. And that relationship should not change your identity. Amen. That's why. Yes, so I'll finish. So today's decisions are tomorrow's realities. Life today is a collection of choices you made yesterday. You are in China today because some time ago you decided you will come to China. You are not at Beijing right now because you possibly did not make any decision or you did not decide to go to Beijing. That's why you are here. So whatever decision you are making today has implications for tomorrow, and we should be responsible for them. Last one, I think. It's not hard to make decisions when you know what your values are. If you know who you are and what you want, there will not be confusion. I think I have the last one. Proverbs chapter 3, verse 6. In all your ways, submit to him, and he will direct your path. Remember, we are not doing this outside Christ. We are doing this inside Christ. And he is the only person who knows the real identity, the real character, the real nature of people. So once we submit to him, he will obviously direct us to the right people who will not mess up with our lives. Amen.
Amen.
I have some few questions here. Question. Okay, so you ask the question first.
It's on.
Oh, I want to find out. I don't condone divorce, but I want to find out if a woman gets married to a man, right, and then later on he slaps her, even if he slaps her wife, yeah, I believe that if a person can slap you once, he can kill you. Like, so I want to find out, the man becomes violent. Is she supposed to continue and stay in that marriage with the person that is beating her?
The person is a boxer, the man is a boxer, and the lady is a boxer.
Oh no, like,
Always beating.
yeah, all of a sudden, they've gotten married, all of a sudden the man starts to beat a woman. Like, I want to find out, should the woman continue and stay in that marriage? And I don't condone, I don't condone divorce, but it's dangerous for the woman to stay, honestly.
Okay, thank you very much. So the issue is, for the man to wake up one day and beat the woman is quite strange, because I believe if you really know the person, you know what he can and cannot do. However, if the man should change overnight, divorce is not the first option. In fact, it should not even be one of your options. There is a way to seek counseling advice from people who can help. There are people, before marriage, if you want to go through the body of Christ, there are counseling sessions that normally go on there. And these things are discussed. So every child of God, in fact, a man of God, you cannot beat a woman. How? However, if this does happen as an option, just as in medicine we have first line of treatment, divorce is actually not an option. So seek for counseling. Do you understand? Seek for counseling. You don't just have to pack your things and divorce. Why? Because he wanted to slap me or he slapped me. So please, how you get me? Seek for help. And then once people counsel this man, I believe, you also pray for him too. You don't just be there and cry and go to bed. Pray for him. And if he slapped you because of what you did, make sure you don't do that again. I'm not encouraging that the man should do. It's actually impossible for a born-again man of God to do that. You understand? But if it was your mouth that also caused that, please try and also cut your ego. Please, any other question? Okay.
I have two questions, just like Monica was saying. You are just saying that you should seek counseling. But let's just take these are maybe people that they've been in the woman will stay in this kind of very, very abusive marriage and die one day and leave their kids. Who take care of those kids? We are saying some people, we are saying how But there are any pastors that beat their wives. We are saying how like it doesn't happen. It really happens to people. And you say that we shouldn't divorce because God hates divorce. But I don't know. What if you die? And I could stay in a marriage and just die because you can die. People's wives are being people's wives are dying. It's not like they're here saying sick. I'm not saying that counseling is wrong, but people are about, certain men are about counseling. Okay, what if he's cheating and lying and beating you and you stay in this kind of marriage? I'm not saying you should, but okay, well my second question is about the vow. You see, when I remember there's this scripture in Matthew 5 there about, and Jesus was like, Jesus said, you shouldn't take a vow, you shouldn't take and swear by the heavens, because that's where God is, or by the earth, because that's the full school. So why do we take the vow in church? Like, where is that scripture from? The vow we take in church. So if you don't take it, you can divorce the man.
Amen. As Elder Wells said, you see, I believe even if you stay with someone for like 3 days or 1 week, you know who the person really is. No, that is you. Trust me. Please let me finish. That's me. You see, you can't tell me probably you've dated a man or you've been in courtship for like 2 years or a year. And nothing really happened. Yeah, like he didn't exhibit any form of, let me say, beating, character or bad behavior. Trust me. Come on. You can't just walk into a marriage where you don't really know the man, who he is. Fine, it's possible though. That means you are blind by a lot of things. Please let me finish. Please listen. My point here is, you can't be with someone. People date for 2 years, 3 years. So are you trying to tell me all those 3 years, you never did anything to provoke him? He never retaliated in any way? No, come on, you can't tell me that. It's possible for you, bro. So please, my point here is, you can, trust me, when you pray and you discern, you know a lot of things. So let's put that one aside. You see, my point is, so when you pray, right, and all that, right, and you discern it by revelation, you know that indeed should be the right person for you. But yet still your parents are like, nah, because she's from so and so tribe and so tribe, we wouldn't accept that you marry her. But meanwhile, God, before God, she's accepted. So do you go on and marry the person, or you be like, oh, my parents are saying because you are from tribe B, I can't marry you? Yeah.
Amen. I just want to add a little to what the issue of it now. Seriously, we have come to a point in life now that I don't know where it's coming from. Seriously, most ladies, I have spoken to about 3 ladies who told me point blank, they don't fear divorce. And it is devilish, seriously. If you don't fear divorce, don't get married. That is the thing. Because as Nana is expressing it so passionately, there are women who are dying living there. There are equally men who are dying living their kids. So we shouldn't make it like it's only, I'm not trying to rebuttal anyone here. The thing is that marriage is a sacred institution. As my brother is sharing, we actually have to. Divorce is not an option. As he's saying, probably the guy has put up an attitude which is quite strange. As I said, people can actually pretend, people can fake. My sister was telling me that it's because most times we enter into relationship, dating, and then we expect it for us. I want a fair lady, so she will put up the makeup, fine, fair. 4 years she will be fair for you. Okay? So we should actually, that's why it's very important to establish a good friendship before we attach emotions and then enter into dating and all these things. Before, I believe that even the night before your wedding, you can call it off if you feel. There's this thing called intuition in man. We shouldn't play with it when it comes to marital affairs. Sometimes we just go up and down, dating, jumping up and down, and oh, this one, it will work, oh, this one. My friend, as you are saying, these things of expressing emotion, as getting to a point where you stretch forth your hand, the person cannot hide it forever. The person's hand might be in the pocket, but you can see it from his eyes. Seriously, you shouldn't get to that point. And when it gets there, as you are saying, we are believers. When you get out of the marriage, it creates a whole lot of issues. Divorce is not an option. Amen.
Amen.
Hallelujah. I think because of grace, you can all talk about marriage. You don't have to be old enough before you talk about this. The first point is Abana's question about a husband who beats everything, right? Like he beats you every time. And we are saying that Christians cannot divorce. So now, what is actually the concept of marriage from God's perspective? We read from Matthew chapter 19. I think we will not have so much time, but you can read from verse 1 coming to verse 8. Okay? And then I just want to read a share of the part. The concept of marriage. Now, I'm reading from 25. He says that husbands, love your wives, even as Christ also loved the church and gave himself for it. Verse number 26. That he might sanctify and cleanse it with the washing of water by the way. I'm actually particular about verse 26. I believe that it's the wife's duty to sanctify the man, actually. Though the scripture did not say it. But then, it is also a very primary duty for the man to sanctify the wife. Why? It's because of the marriage. He says, as Christ loved the church. How do we stop a man who beats us every day? Do we say that when we do not stay together in the same house, we are not married? Actually, the concept of divorce from scripture is saying, when God speaks about divorce, like when the people of Israel were acting weird, it's not living separately. I think one solution is, first of all, is good, like Papa said, counseling is important. And then secondly, you should not stay in a house where you are being beaten every day and things are not being solved, right? So you can stay somewhere else. I believe these things are normal things that are put in place. But you stay away from your husband as long as you are divorced. Because the marriage is not you staying together actually. Then if I stay with you, you are my wife. I don't need to go to church, right? So remember that I always say that it is impossible to use the blood of Christ as a covenant and then debunk on it or relegate it later. Do you know this covenant that girls and guys, they just break themselves with a pin? And they are afraid of that if you break up, you will die. Because of this, your blood, normal hemoglobin, this one. You see, so if covenants are that potent, you have to understand that marriage under the option of a Christian with the blood of Christ is a covenant that God is having with us. He sees it, so he compared us as now married, him and us. So you see, that is why you cannot be a Christian and divorce. So if you enter and these things are happening, I'm telling you, the only way to separate yourself is to maybe stay away, seek for counseling, or die. If you die, you are divorced. Oh, I'm putting Romans chapter 7, okay? Romans chapter 7, verse 1 coming. If you want to divorce, die. If you want to divorce as a Christian, stop being a Christian, be a Muslim, be a pagan, be a traditionalist, divorce. If you are a Christian, divorce is not part of you. That's the concept. So I believe that if we get into this concept of marriage and these things happen, I mean, we are in something that we cannot just come out. So it's good to stay away because you don't say I'm a Christian, I'm going to be in the house to be beaten to death, like he said. It's not wise if God has not really speak of that. So I'm saying that the concept of divorce is not when you do not live with your husband. I believe we started some kind of marriage Abambuloka, Uriloka, in social studies, right? You remember, right? Even people marry and don't stay together. It's marriage. So the marriage is not about you staying together. It's about when you go under that covenant in the name of the Lord Jesus. It's not a small thing. Actually, God has put His seal on it, and you cannot just treat it anyhow. So if you enter, you may suffer. If you do suffer, count it all joy. Amen.
Amen. And then the little I also want to listen. This one, it doesn't only go to the ladies, also to the guys. It's to both of us. Seriously, there are people who are just divorcing here and there. It's because as we are talking about this issue has to do with love, okay? Love. So many of us are not expressing love, even in our dating. Because when we see our partners go wrong, we don't want to correct them. You know that this thing the lady is doing, you don't like, it's not good, it's not godly. But I say, after all, she's not my wife. I might not get married to her. That is not love. Actually, love corrects. Love covers a multitude of sin. Love is very broad. So if we are actually this thing called love, we actually have to receive it from God before we can express it. It is God who teaches us to love. In this situation of marriage, you see, this man is an abusive person. It is an evil act that you need to help him correct. Because if you divorce him, it doesn't stop him from being abusive. He is take that abusive nature to your kids. Your kids will suffer it. You take it outside to another person. The person will also suffer it. So God has put you in that state. See yourself as a suitable helper. Help that person. That is what love actually does. Amen.
Amen.
Please, does anyone have any other contribution? Okay, I have some questions here. For marriage to happen, what is the governing principle? That is one. Second question, what is marriage? Third question, can medical related issues prevent one from marrying? So now, what is the governing principle for marriage? It's love. I think Olivia answered it some few seconds ago. So what then is marriage? Marriage is an expression of love between man and a woman in the context of pursuing okay, let me even explain from that angle before I come to my own form of definition. From Genesis, when we were reading from Genesis chapter 2, verse 20-21 downwards, you realize that even from chapter 1, you realize that God gave mankind a mandate. God told mankind, that is, God told man and woman to reproduce, fulfill the earth with their word, offsprings. So, we came to Genesis chapter 2, verse 22-23. When Eve came into the life of Adam, we saw how Adam received Eve and then pursued that divine mandate God gave him or gave them some time ago. So now marriage is an expression of this love, the personality of God as we're talking about, in pursuing the divine assignment that has been handed over to man. So that is why scriptures of God frowns against, how do we call it, homosexualism, because it's an opposite of the original plan. And marriage also depicts our relationship, or it takes us back to our relationship with Christ. Remember, we read from Ephesians chapter 5, verse 25, that husbands should love their wives as Christ loved the church. So the love or the bond, the covenant between Christ and the church is in the context of marriage. So once someone also marries, as we are talking about, it means that that person is pursuing, or that person is living actually the life that God has given him in the context of regeneration, what do you call it? reproduction, and then filling the divine mandate God has given unto man. So, the issue about medical related issues, I think that one, with the wisdom God has given us as individuals, you decide. If you are AS and your partner is AS, I believe it's a kind of mutual decision that you need to make. So as to whether I can tell you to go ahead or stop, I think that is too difficult for me. So it's dependent on you. You have to know what you are going in for, so that you will prepare and then you will not be disappointed when you get in. So if you know this is a possible outcome and you have ways and means of managing it, why not? I think we've answered this question. In the case of physical abuse in marriage, okay, so have 1.5 questions or 2. From the story of Adam and Eve, does it mean God will bring me my husband or wife? Am I to wait on God for my partner? Yes, so the issue is, once you are a child of God, James says that every good and perfect thing comes from above. That good and perfect thing includes wife and husband. So only if it's good and perfect, the origin cannot come from any other place than God. However, you don't also sit in your house and then angels will bring a woman from heaven into your bedroom that today, from the heavenly realms, this person is your wife or husband. God dwells in us. He has given us wisdom. So in our search, He will direct us. Please do you understand me? Remember, God presented Eve to Adam, but Adam chose. So you have to open your eyes, open your spiritual senses, be active, and be alive to the Spirit of God, so that your flesh will not lead you, because your flesh can also lead you to someone else. Remember, we did define in the world that it's that intense feeling. So that feeling can also drive you towards another person. So we also have to understand that is why we have to pray. We have to be very vigilant. We have to be wise. We have to incline ourselves unto Him. We have to have fellowship with Him, because He knows, all these abuse things we are talking about. There are some people you can date for years, you will never have any sense of evidence. But one day, you just step on the floor and He will slap you, and that will be all. So yes, it pays to wait. You don't have to rush. Wait. But that does not also mean that angels will So as you are waiting and praying, you observe, and when you have all the, and when you have discerned, you make the move. Amen.
Amen. So I want to add a little to the waiting. And we actually have to do a quality waiting. So many of us, we are just waiting and occupying time. We are just there. We are not actually preparing ourselves towards anything. So as you are saying, God is not going to bring a woman to you that, hey, Philip, this is your wife. Because when God did it for Adam, Adam tended to blame God that the woman you gave me. But let's know that God never told Adam, Adam, this is your wife. God presented Eve as a gift, just as He gave all the other animals and everything. But Adam chose to lie with Eve as the wife. So God is actually not going to give you someone that this is your wife. But we have to actually prepare ourselves as we are waiting. Seriously, we need to prepare ourselves. As we are discussing all these things, some of us might, oh, these guys, they are just wasting our time and they are talking plenty and they are this and this. If you are actually well prepared, nothing takes you by surprise. That is the thing. As a child of God, nothing took Jesus by surprise because he was prepared for his mission on earth. So when he came and people spat on his face, people pierced him, people did everything, he was not perturbed. Why? Because he was prepared for the assignment. So as we are having friendship, we are dating, we are doing this, we should actually prepare ourselves for all these things so that we shall not be taken by surprise. Amen.
Yes, so as we are waiting and preparing ourselves, the preparation also entails strategic positioning. I'll end it there. Amen. And so the last question here is, if God is love, and love is the personality of God, then from the world's point of view, how would we as a church call that? In reference to Genesis chapter 1, where God put his spirit in man, so they can equally say they have love. Amen. So remember, as we were defining the love from the world, the world sees love as feeling, emotions, what they feel within their waist, their spinal cord, their shoulders, everywhere. When I say their waist, you have to understand. So the world sees love as those things we feel within us, the emotion aspect. God also has emotions, but that does not mean that every emotion that you cannot control is love. So what we are saying here, whoever is born, the Bible says whoever is born of God is one spirit with him. So if you are born of God, what it means is that you have the spirit of God and you exhibit that true love. The world can call it whatever they want to call it, but because they are not born of God, they cannot have the personality that we are talking about, or love. You cannot have love when you have not been shown love, when you have not received love. So if that person feels like love is about, what I feel, and that person is not born of God, the person is talking about something else, but not really talking about the love that Christ has shown into us, the love that we have received and we can also demonstrate or live. Amen. I think my time is
All right, I just want to add this thing to the issue of love. I am a little emotional when it comes to love because it got to a point in my life that personally I did not believe in the word love. This thing I think I've told a couple of people before. It got to a point I didn't actually believe that there's any word called love. And I actually took over 6 months to study about love. And then I came to realize that there are so many things that we are doing that we are actually basing on the expressions of love or emotions of love, which is not love in itself. When God said that it repented me that I've created man, that thing was an expression of love. Those things that I feel I need to be with you, I feel I have to communicate with you, I feel like all those things are emotions or expressions of love. That is not love in itself. And that is what actually occupies our time so much that we spend in our dating, in our friendship. We follow the expressions or the emotions of love so much that we tend to forget about what love actually is. And then when we get to a point in our lives, we want to get married, and then we enter into marriage with a particular person, we don't actually know what love is. We don't actually find love in the person, but we find expressions. And the person cannot express all the branches of love. And that's where sometimes we tend to falter in one way or the other. So, what I came to understand after all my study, basically, is that love is God in person. And then when you actually decide to accept God, live God, that is love. Until you have come to that point of decision to accept God, live God, you have not met love. Every other thing you are doing, calling, chatting, buying gifts, taking them on Valentine, it is nice, very, very romantic. All those things, they are emotions of love. And that's when, if you don't take care, it will occupy our time. We might think we are growing our love, but we are actually growing the expressions or the emotions of love. So we should actually have time with God, study how God wants us to know Him. We should actually open up for God to teach us who He really is, so that we can actually live His nature, which is love. Amen.
Amen. A question or contribution?
I also want to add on.
Okay. Last two. Then let's especially we tackle the question about the vow and those things we see on the altar.
My question is, if premarital sex is a sin, why is it a sin? And also, if you're with your partner and you're not married, but you're having sexual intercourse with your partner, can you proceed during the dating? You guys are having sexual intercourse. When do you stop having sexual intercourse? And how do you know your partner sexually if you do not want to have sex with your partner before you get married to that person? That's my question.
Yes, so I think the question is in twofold. Why premarital sex?
Yeah, no, I'm asking if premarital sex
It's a sin.
Why is it a sin?
Can you explain?
And the second one is about
If
you don't have
If you do not
how
want to
do you
have
go-
sex with your partner, how are you supposed to know your partner sexually? How are you supposed to know that you're sexually compatible with your partner? And if you do not want to, yeah, that's it. That's pretty much it.
Is there a question?
Okay, there's one here. I want to add a submission. Before you enter into marriage, you're supposed to know every extreme point of your partner. You're supposed to know his extreme anger, his extreme fear, his extreme everything. So that in the case where we ladies actually want to hide our feelings because we are attracted to this person and we don't want them to leave us no matter what. So we try to, make it really rosy. We don't want to offend them. We don't want to do this or that. And for that reason, we might not find the extreme joy in that opposite person, or extreme fear, or extreme anger. Is it a lack of money that is it? All these things will actually change the mood of a person. So
Sink in other stuffs which are not irrelevant. Yeah, thank you.
Amen. I want to attempt to answer Sarah's question. So, premarital sex is sin. First of all, as Christians is sin because God says so. And you're calling Christ your Lord, okay? Lord, He's Master, He's everything. You've given your life to Him. And so that means that you are to obey what He says. And what I've come to know is that God's commandments are not restrictions for Him to boss over, They are commandments of love. Because he is God, He knows everything. His commandments are for your good. Let me say that. So it's sin because God says so. And number two, not having sex with your partner. So how will you know them? What I know is that sex is not taught. No one needs to teach anyone how to have sex. I believe if you put two people who have never seen any sex before anything in a room and their feelings take over, they will know what to do. We don't need to be taught how to do sex. This ideologies of sex position and sizes and what, it has just come right now that, no, seriously. Like, it just come right now, like, people are, oh, this sex relation, this sex relation. So you get with your wife on that wedding night, you know what to do. You will improve if there needs to be any improvement. Because you'll experiment and, you know, my point is, you don't need to be taught how to do sex. You will just know how to flow.
Yes, so premarital sex. As the name, before premarital. I want to tackle it from there before we read something of First Corinthians. So we said premarital, okay? From Ecclesiastes chapter 3 verse 1, Solomon wrote that for everything or for every season there's a time. There's time for everything under the sun. So you said pre-marital, you didn't say marital, before marriage. So before and during marriage, they are two different things. Do you understand me? You are supposed to do it, the time is not up and you are doing it. So that does not make it right. 1 Corinthians 6 verse 16-20. Or do you not know that he who is joined to a harlot is one with her? For the two, he says, shall become one flesh with him. 18. Flee sexual immorality. Every sin that a man does is outside the body. But he who commits sexual immorality sins against his own body. So, one, you are born of God. So you are one spirit with Christ. So your body belongs to him. So you going and then having sex with someone, obviously the person says, I'm going to marry you. The person has not married you. So you are not his at that moment. Your spirit is joined to Christ. So you going in and also having an affair with another person means that now you are also joined to another source. And you cannot serve two masters. You cannot have be joined to Christ and then be also joined to a harlot. Your body belongs to Christ because you are one spirit with him. So you going outside Christ means that you have cheated on your husband. Having sex with someone else outside marriage literally means that Christ being your husband, you have cheated on him. So the same way you feel when you are cheated upon, let's see that way. That's the same way Christ feels when we are also messing up around, because he is our husband. And the issue about fornication, Paul continues in verse 18, that it also affects your own body. It also affects your own. That is why certain times when relationship break up, some people will always say that he has used me. That word. They normally, and I don't understand whether it was one person who was using another person or they were using themselves. Me too, I don't know. So the issue is, you are a child of God. Your bodies belong to Christ. So your bodies cannot be given to someone else outside marriage.
Amen. So I will just continue from where you ended. Actually, this issue of sexual relations is very deep, okay? It's a little intense than we see it. That's why the scripture actually related it, as my brother was saying, with you becoming one with the person. Actually, the two of you kind of enter into a new kind of spiritual relations. Just as you were already with Christ, you were already married to Christ, you were already bonded with Christ. Sex is actually one of the ways that two parties are bonded together, okay? And that's how, aside you cheating on Christ, you actually now have another person's soul attached to yours. And that's when most of us can testify that we become so emotionally attached to people that we enter into such relations with, such that people can be very abusive, but the parties cannot let go of them. Why? Because they entered into sexual relations. Their souls have become one. Okay, there's something that some writers have tagged soul tag. Okay, that thing comes in when you actually enter into sexual relations with another person. And it's unfortunate that when you have relations with this person, that person, you see that there's this thing we call food web. So I just want to relate it there. You create that kind of soul web. And even science has proved that whoever you have sexual relations with, you actually receive some DNA from that person. You carry it in your genome. So you carry it along. So if you have a relationship with this person, that person, you actually lose your identity. So we can attest to the fact that, as last time Vincent was explaining when he was teaching us on love and marriage and all those things, that our parents live together, have sexual relations for long, and they look alike. They have actually exchanged genes such that they look alike. They carry, sometimes you see your mother can lie to you. And you meet your father will tell you the exact lie. Why? Because they have become one in thoughts, one in emotions, one even in their pocket. Everything. So this thing we are talking about, we talk about them and people just turn a blind eye to it and still continue. She was asking at what point. He says, when you hear my word today is the day. That day you accept the word of God. You should quit and get back to God. Other than that, you carry these things spiritually, physically, as I'm saying, scientifically, and you tend to even receive some traits which you express phenotypically, physically. Sometimes you were not maybe so anxious for certain things, but you enter into such relation with some people and all of a sudden you have developed interest for those things. And these are the things that are actually the core of so many divorces today. But we don't know. When the man of God was teaching, if you got to know, the looks and all these things, sexual relations is one of the things that is actually killing our marriages today, but we don't know. The person will tell you, oh, you eat too much, you do makeup too much, I'm telling you that is not the secret. The secret is that the person is already bonded to someone who he or she is not married to. He was having sexual relation with someone on campus, and then he graduates, doctor, he gets to marry another nurse. Though they are there in bed, loneliness is there. Why? Because the soul is bonded to someone in China. So nothing you do will make him or her satisfied. So until you come to this point, get ready that you need to break loose of that. Christ. He said when you come to him, he makes you a new creation. He creates your spirit anew, your body anew, your mind anew, everything anew. He's the only one that can set you free from these things. Other than that,
before you go ahead, so you're telling me that before, if you want to enter into a new relationship, then you have to be bonded again with Christ. That means that you have to accept Lord as your Savior again.
Yes. You
and
need
then
to actually come back to
you find someone else you are going to be attached to. And with that person, you're not supposed to have sex. So if you're saying all of that, in dating, you're supposed to know somebody very well. How are you supposed to know that you're sexually compatible with them? Because I know that in so many other relationships, people are not sexually satisfied in their relationship. And it's breaking a lot of marriages. Some pastors, a lot of these evangelists have boring.
It's true, men of God, apostles, bishops. Yeah. So, in that, you see, that is why I was saying that, seriously, it is true. It is very true. It's not only about even sex. I know someone who's very close to me, okay? Very close to me. The person, all his life, desire was to become a pastor of my church. Okay? They rode through all the ranks, got to the headquarters for interview. And the wife, they were married for years, and the wife failed the interview. So the man couldn't become a pastor. And because of that, they divorced. It might seem very trivial. I'm telling you, it killed the man. The man didn't live for long. He died. Because he had been anticipating to be a pastor. As she's saying, there are so many people who are not sexually satisfied. How they get that sexual satiety come in if you have never entered into a sexual relationship? That's the first question you should ask yourself. If you have never entered into it, how will you know that at 70% it is the max, at 90% it is the max? You wouldn't know, yes, because we can't compare. So the mistake we do is we already start it. So we know that there's this peak, there's this standard, there's that standard. Okay? So if we actually come to the point of realization that marriage is not for sex. So let me say this. If you get married to your partner, okay, and then right from your wedding grounds, you have an accident, and then the place is supposed to be closed, okay? The organs is supposed to be taken away. So would you tell me that you are going to divorce him or her because of that accident? Then you don't understand love. It is emotions of love, expressions of emotions of love. You can't say you are getting married because of sex. Seriously, I had this big problem, okay, with ladies who would lie to the guy that I'm a virgin, okay, and then they enter into marriage, and the first night, the guy finds out that the lady is not a virgin. Seriously, I had a problem. Why would you have to lie like that? And I was thinking that it actually creates room for mistrust. And recently we were discussing the word of God, and when we were discussing, I think it was after Bible study, I really learned a lot, and I really said, no, I need to get back to my drawing board and study this thing very well. Because if you actually are carrying love, and not emotions of love, you will not care about those things. Because you are not getting married because of sex. You are not getting married because love is unconditional. Love in its originality is unconditional. But we make it conditional. And conditions are not permanent. So if you are entering into marriage to get sexual satisfaction, my brother, my sister, you will never have anything satisfaction on earth here. Nothing. That's why there's a saying that even the sea accumulates enough water. You might say that, oh, because my ex was taking me to 70 degrees, my husband is not taking me even up to 50 degrees. So let me go and take another person. That person will take you to 45 degrees. You will go and meet another person, he will take you to 95 degrees. They say, hey, then I think there's 200 degrees. And that will be leading you on. Sex is not love. You can give sex with anybody once the person is the opposite. Amen.
Give it up, give it up.
Please let the outstanding. Let the outstanding. Let's be outstanding. Amen. We are going to pray just 1.5 minutes and we'll end our service. Amen. Now, in conclusion, one thing I want you to understand is in marriage, the man becomes a friend to the woman, becomes a brother, becomes a father, and then a husband. So the man has these 4 roles in the life of the woman. The same way the woman will also become a friend, a sister, a mother, and then a wife. So with these 4, you realize that the only relation that will include sex is either a wife or a husband. 1 out of 4 roles, meaning 25%. So if your focus for marriage is sex, it means you have 25% chance that your marriage is going to stand. I just want us to do this prayer quickly. We are doing this prayer quickly. We read from 1 Corinthians chapter 6. Paul said that he who is joined to a harlot is of one spirit with him. Many of us might have had, a lot of relationships, and certain things are worrying people, emotions, and people are going through a lot in their relationship that you need to flee. You just need to reason, come to that point of understanding. We read from Malachi chapter 2. You need to come back to your senses. That look, for how long can you continue to dwell in that relationship that is killing you? You know your relationship with God has changed because of that relationship. want you to pray. We are doing this prayer personally. People who are genuinely waiting on God for their spouses. Pray that you will not go in, you will not be blinded, so that you will just go in for something else that will trouble you one day. And people who have also gone through series of psychological issues and they feel like this thing this guy did to me, the lady did to me is unpardonable. So though you have broken up with the person, but you have some form or kind of hatred within you for that person. If you have the love of God, you cannot hold on bitterness. You cannot harbor bitterness, hatred. And those of us in relationships, we are also praying. Because we know it is only the Spirit of God that can reveal unto us the real intent, the conscience, in fact, the real nature, identity, the character of people to us. You don't want to marry someone who will abuse you in the future. You don't want to marry someone who will be cheating on you. And you yourself, you don't also want to do that. So pray. People who are struggling with their decision making. Possibly you've had more than one proposal. You don't know whether to go in for this or that. And I want us to use this opportunity to pray for broken homes, marriages that are breaking up because of some of these petty things, that the Lord will come to their rescue. I tell you, break up. You know, divorce has a lot of negative issues on children. People do what they do because they did not get the love that their parents are actually supposed to have for them. The man is somewhere, the woman is somewhere, they are also somewhere doing their own things. We don't want this to happen to us. In the world statistics, is there that even marriages that are blessed or weddings break up even faster than the marriages of unbelievers. And this is actually a shame. We cannot be victims. We cannot be victims. We cannot make blind choices. We cannot make blind choices. If we cannot discern, then how can then what will even happen to unbelievers? We are blind. We are following them in making decisions based on their standards. Possibly there are people who genuinely have discerned that they are not supposed to marry. Yes, Jesus Christ spoke about that. Marriage is not for everyone. There are some people who divine are not supposed to marry. And yet they are messing up in relationship because they have not come to that point of realization. We want to pray for all these people. We want to say one day that, in fact, if there is marriage in heaven, I would go there and still continue my life with that person, with this brother, with this sister, or with this my husband or wife. That is how we want to speak. And I want to admonish all of us, those in relationship and have assumed false personalities and false identities. Please be real. Be who you are. Be real. Be real. And so, Father, we bless you and we give you praise for this moment. Father, we thank you for your word. And we thank you for everything that you have done and everything that you have taught us. That we continue to present ourselves unto you. That you take charge of our lives. That in our decision makings, we do not want to do anything outside you. For it is your word that is lamp unto our feet. Your word that reveals your love unto us. So that may your word abide in us. May we continue to demonstrate and live in love. The nature of you, the living God. Father, I pray for wounded hearts. People who have been disappointed. People who have bitterness by virtue of their choices. I humbly pray, Father, for restoration. That you will fill them with the oil of gladness. May every darkness in anyone's relationship receive the light of you, the living God. We pray for broken homes, marriages that are breaking apart. That you are the restorer of hope, the father of the fatherless, people who are victims of broken marriages, people who are going through stuff, people who are going through things because of some of these issues. That your love, that people will come to that point where they will forgive. That bitterness will not dwell in us, and that we will continue to dwell in your love. We present our relationships and our marriages into your hands. That God be the Lord of our relationships, be the pivot of our relationships and marriages. We come against any form of attack from the enemy. We come against any form of deception. Anything that will put us asunder. Anything that will cause separation that is not of you, Lord. That is not our portion. So, Father, I pray that whoever is genuinely and waiting upon you, your word says that your hands are not short, and your ears are not down, that you will not hear our voices. May you hear our cry. May you hear us anytime that you will come on our knees. May we receive the grace in abundance so that we can control ourselves. We can live for you in our relationships. As we continue to dwell in the Spirit, we know that the flesh will not be able to control us. And then we bless you for the presence of your Spirit and the life of the Son of God that you have given unto us. We want our life to radiate your presence to the world, so the world will see you in us. We thank you and we bless you that as we live, you continue to teach us and you continue to reveal more of your love unto us. We bless you in the name of our Lord Jesus Christ. Amen. Yes, so one quick announcement, please, let's be seated. We are closing, yes. So sorry for the delay. I believe we have gone past our closing time, and I know you have forgiven me for that. God bless you for the forgiveness. Amen. Yes, so on Friday, we are not going to have prayer meeting. Amen. We're not going to have cell meeting because we're going to start the Eagles conference on Wednesday. Amen. Yes, so we're going to have the Eagles Conference from 20th to 22nd at Phoenix, Block 3D3, Room 704. Amen. So, on Wednesday and Thursday, we are going to start at 4 to 6 p.m. In fact, it's fasting and prayers. We are praying into our semester, our intention. People who are about to grab, you are coming to pray into your grabbing. Amen. People who have also grabbed, you are coming to pray into it so that there will be more oil, more fire. Amen. Yes, so the theme is waiting in maturity. Taken from Isaiah chapter 40, verse 31. But on Friday, we're going to start from 4 to 7 p.m. So please, let's note, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, we are fasting, we are praying, we are feasting, and we are meeting at Phoenix Block 3D3 704. Amen. You don't have to come alone. Come with someone. Amen. Come with your loved ones. Amen. I mean loved ones, not loved one. Amen. Yes, so as usual, our rehearsal at Mr. and Mrs. apartment on Saturdays. Poetry rehearsals. Yes, those who are also interested in drama, talk to Anabana someone. Yes, so birthday celebrants. We have Hamilton, we have Paul, we have Esther, we have Shepherd, we have Michelle. Please, let's come. Amen. We also have Jen. Yeah. Yes, so please, let's come. Yeah, facing as usual. Yes. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Yes, so let's pray for them. We are praying. Father, I pray for these ones, for your love. I pray for your mercies upon their lives. And Daddy, I thank you for blessing them with one additional year. We know that your purpose and your intentions for them are yea. That your word says that you know the plans that you have for us, plans that are not of evil, are plans that will bring us to an expected end. Plans that will prosper our lives. Plans that will make us fruitful. Plans that will make us radiate your glory. Father, I declare that these ones will be blessed beyond measure. That anything that they lay their hands on will be a blessing. And that you will be the Lord of their lives forever and ever. In the name of our Lord Jesus Christ, have I prayed. Amen. So happy belated birthday. Happy birthdays. Amen. So please, let's be upstanding. Today we had a total tithe of 1,160 RMB and an offering of 289 RMB. Amen. Isaiah chapter 1, verse 19. Yes, people have forgotten. Because we are in 1919, you have forgotten of. Please, I'm serious. Isaiah 1:19. Revelation 4:2. Revelation chapter 4, verse 2. Leave the Pharisees. Music and art. Revelation chapter 4, verse 2. Amen. Please let's share the grace. Let's share the grace. The grace of our Lord Jesus Christ. The love of God and the sweet fellowship of the Holy Spirit. Surely, the best blessings are following us all the days of our life. We shall dwell in the house of the Lord forever and ever. Amen. Yes, so we are still in the love mood. You know, we live in love every minute, every second. Say hi to